Now, Christopher Bedford, senior editor for the Federalist, joins us now on Skype. Chris, welcome back. Always great to speak with you. We have a lot to get to. But first off, I want to get your thoughts on last week's impeachment trial and former President Trump's acquittal.
The impeachment trial essentially went exactly how we always thought it might go. The second time around, as soon as it began, there was almost no shot possible that the Republicans would join Democrats in impeaching this. And when Mitch McConnell tried to launch a coup mid-January in the pages of the New York Times, leaking that he was open to voting for conviction, it quickly folded on that as Republicans, even more moderate Republicans, started to pull back. Now, I don't really see quite the same level of bravery in these Republican votes as some others have. For example, Burr is looking for a corporate job after this, and this will make him more friendly. In fact, Murkowski is the only person who is going to even potentially face voters ever again or within the next 6 years of anyone who voted. She might face primary trouble. Others have a 6-year platform with which to walk before they're held accountable for this vote, or they're leaving right now. Another takeaway I saw from this is that there was a number of major conservative outlets that at least previously were major that came out hard against President Donald Trump. Probably most notable among them would be National Review. At the end, when you took National Review and you took Liz Cheney, you took Mitch McConnell and others pushing for impeachment either behind the scenes or openly, they weren't even able to get a lame duck senator like Rob Portman, someone who's more moderate. It shows that about 90% of the Republican Party, even on the professional level, still stands with Donald Trump, and he's probably going to be a figure because of that going forward.
And as Eric reported, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell voted to acquit, but said, quote, "There is no question, none, that President Trump is practically and morally responsible for provoking the events of the day, referencing that attack on the Capitol." When you heard that, Chris, what did you think, and were you at all surprised by it? And also, what, if any, significance does it hold?
I was surprised by it, mainly not because it surprised me that Mitch McConnell might think that, but because he's usually a very careful political player. This was kind of the equivalent of watching a murder-suicide on camera, politically speaking, where Mitch McConnell goes out there. He's not a person accustomed to being pushed back on by his own party. And he even had Senator Lindsey Graham, who's a moderate, hawkish, kind of corporate-leaning Republican, saying, this speech was terrible. He may have gotten something off of his chest, but it's going to be on the backs of Republicans running in New Hampshire, running in Georgia, running in states like Arizona that Republicans hope to win a Senate seat in coming up. Mitch McConnell did this, I think, out of anger somewhat, that his plan was pushed back on. He'd wanted to get rid of Donald Trump as a part of the GOP and move back to some of the policies that he was more comfortable with. The party said no, and he smeared the party as well as the president in this, and expect to see it in 2022 and beyond for anyone running for office.
Yeah, and I was going to actually ask you that, Chris. What do you see as Trump's influence over the Republican Party, now and looking ahead to 2022? And also, what do you think is next for him?
It's hard to say what's next for him. I've heard that he's in good spirits from people who have been speaking to him, which is, you never quite know, especially since he's been less active on Twitter these days. This worked out well for President Trump, or former President Trump, because now he's been acquitted twice. It showed that even Mitch McConnell would be rebuked by his own party, by about 90% plus of his own party, when they try to push back on Trump and his influence, that the voters still support him. And if you look at January donations, for example, to the National Republican Congressional Committee, they were averaging in the $30, even though they raised over $8 million in a post-election month. And that's not only a lot of money, but it shows a declining influence of corporate money and a rising interest of smaller donor money in the GOP. That changes who the party is answerable to. It changes who people like Mitch McConnell are answerable to. And those are the people who are motivated by President Donald Trump. It's hard to say whether or not he's going to want to run for president, if he even can, at the advanced age he'll be at in 4 more years. But he certainly will have an influence on candidates. And now he really clearly knows who his targets are in Washington.
All right, Chris, quickly, final thoughts before I let you go.
I think this was an embarrassing moment for the entire Senate. Mitch McConnell stepped into a Democratic trap instead of trying to lead a new party. This will be remembered if the Republicans take back the Senate, which they eventually will, of course, as the pendulum swings back toward it. It was a big mistake, and it was largely an embarrassment for everyone, Democrats and Republicans involved, sadly.
All right, we're going to leave it right there. Thank you so much, Chris. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.